This meeting is being recorded.
Hi, so my name is Vishak. So I currently have like about 7+ years experience in developing scalable cloud-based and native-based and AI models for an insurance company recently. So two of my highlights that I worked recently regarding AI is one will be a company Copilot that we used for like we used as a chatbot for the underwriters and the claim insurers to look through the documents like claim documents, their medical bills, medical reports, investigation reports, all these things, instead of just going through a massive database of repository that we have all the documents together.
Mm-hmm.
So how we implemented this is basically we separated the documents server as a, I mean database completely in one server, and we
Mm-hmm.
built a RAG pipeline with vector database and embeddings on that particular database so that the LLM can access this through the RAG pipeline and can give their, like when a user is querying for a question, let's just say, I want to know about my medical bills for this particular policy. So all the user had to do is just, the underwriter has to just type in, and the copilot will basically skim through all this vector database and will give you a much faster result instead of, because the earlier process was very bad, like we had this software called OnBase where we had
Mm-hmm.
to go in, search for this particular policy and go for the various subtypes of the documents. This basically automates that process in like mere seconds, rather than which usually causes about 5-6 minutes just to go to the right policy and folder. So this is one of the major policy issues that solved in my company, because usually customers don't have the patience to deal with all this. Even we had the same issues, right? When you're talking with the underwriter or something, when we are on a call with the insurance agent, they'll put on hold on looking through the various documents. This basically eliminates that completely. So I think that's one of the best use cases for this that we implemented it. And then another project that we recently are using is using the invoicing agents. So here what we happens is, so I predominantly work on the billing side of things. So we have a separate system for policy generation, rating, and everything, and separate system for billing and invoicing. So this agentic architecture we implemented using LangGraph and LangChain, where we split the entire invoicing process into three different parts. So the first part will be basically generating, like gathering the information. So
Mm-hmm.
the first agent will go into billing center and gather all the current uh, effective date, the policy, the billing cycle related data, and it collects this and puts into a bundle and passes on to the next agent, which is the validation agent or the compliance agent. So this cross-reference along with the legal issues, it also cross-references data along with the policy center and the claim center if all the billing and the policy details matches correctly and all the data is retrieved and the current and the final invoice that is generating is what is expected. This basically just a compliance agent. And finally, we have the document generation. So this document generation agent is what puts all together the bundle data, the validation compliance, the information from the policy center, claim center, and
Mm-hmm.
it generates the final PDF or the invoice that needs to be sent to the customers. So
Very
this is
nice.
all orchestrated
Yeah, that's
using
that's really
LangGraph.
helpful. Tell me one thing. How do you? Okay, suppose I mean in a real time situation, if I upload a PDF on ChatGPT, right?
Hmm?
So what question I'm going to ask? What responses should be? How do you ensure this? Like, how do you work on this?
You mean like when your user is uploading a PDF, what
Mm-hmm.
happens? You're
Mm-hmm.
asking? So first thing will be the document ingestion. So whatever the user is putting in, I'll be collecting as a document. Like we have a Python project for it. Basically, it ingests the document and it splits the
Mm-hmm.
document into basically embeddings or like converts the text data into. First, it parses. Like it converts the data into text, and then each text is converted into a numerical data, like an embedding. And
Mm-hmm.
these embeddings will be mapped along with each other as a, what do you call that? The LLM basically maps these. It forms a relation. Basically, that's what it happens in the
Mm-hmm.
behind scenes. So when the user queries it, like say for example, you're asking a question from that particular document,
Mm-hmm.
it cross-references those tokens with the numbers that is already generated, and whichever has the highest probability or closest nearby, that's what the LLM replies back to you. And it's just the reverse engineering of whatever happens in the first step. So the number is the embeddings, which are called as numbers, are converted into text, and this is then passed into one congruent sentence so that the user, can understand
Great,
the output.
great. And how do you handle LLM inferencing in a real time application?
Inference in the sense?
Uh, like if you need to integrate LLM models with a real time application, which is like, okay, so give an example, bank uses Erica, right? And your Java application needs to be integrated with LLMs again, which is Erica, the bank tool. What are these steps? Like how would you start your checkpoints, and what would be your steps? How would you integrate?
Okay, we have things called like tools, right? So tools are basically just API calls to different components. It doesn't matter, like say for example, you said Erica, right? So it's going to be one of a chatbot, or it's going to be something like an API that is already in a different system. So we can use something like a simple API call that can be. So we instruct the LLM to we give the first step obviously is going to give the LLM a tool set. So we have to instruct that make use of this particular tool to get the answer that we need. For example, I can give a much easier example. Say, if you need to get the weather, let's just say you are asking Erica, I just need the weather of, I don't know, like Charlotte today. So what LLM usually does is it represents the documents it has stored in it. So it would have learned something from the documents it has already stored, and it will bring the data from there. So it may not be the latest data. Most cases, it will be the old data. It won't be updated one. So what we have to instruct LLM here is we need to first instruct it to use the tool called Weather API. So Erica then pulls the Weather API. From there, it will take the recent data and will give you the weather in much more accurate. So the tools will be the first one, basically. Nowadays, we have MCPs and skills that are much more advanced. So MCPs are just like a hub
So you
that
worked on
allows you
MCP
to connect with
servers also?
multiple. Sorry?
Have you worked on MCP servers as well?
Yes. Because I told you like that agents, we are using multiple, the invoicing agent, we have to work with multiple different systems, basically. There's a documentation system, there's a policy system. Initially, we did try making different API calls at first. This was earlier in 2025. So it wasn't working as far as like, as we scaled up more and more documents and more invoices, it was messing up the system a lot. So we had to move towards NTP, basically.
Correct. So have you ever built any RAG system?
Yes, we just
So
built
can you
a
just
normal
walk me through
copilot.
the architecture?
Yes, as I said, the first step will be to build your database, basically. So the repository where all your information is going to be stored. Say, for example, you wanted a service desk. So you have the most common issues that we face, like onboarding or offboarding issues. So we postulate a database just with those, and you separate them. The best practice, what do you call it? Industrial practice that I learned is never put that database with integration with any of the other company database. Make AIs completely separate so that is easier to manage in case something goes wrong. And that will be my first step. So build that database, and then you next step is be obviously parsing. So make sure that all those the data documents, text data is all passed into one numerical data like embeddings or something like that. And once we have embeddings, you put it into vector database. So the vector database basically creates all the relations between the information that needs to be checked when a user is querying. So, and after that, you put a RAG system on it. And the RAG basically, what it does is it makes sure that retrieval is much faster, and rather than, so what LLM usually does is it memorizes. Now, what we're doing with RAG is we are making the LLM like an open book test. So we're helping it in a way that it can search and look for the data much more efficiently and faster than rather than just memorizing and hallucinating and giving some cooked up answers that rather than giving the right answer. So once we have the RAG on it, and then we can have our own input system where the user can give the input pipeline like the search query or something like that. And that goes through this entire system. And basically once the RAG, so this is like a normal RAG. If you're looking for an agent, so we what there'll be two more layers on it. So what happens is, say for example, you're asking a query, give me the, again, I go with the same weather application. So you ask the chatbot, what is the weather today? So what happens is the agentic RAG, what will do it, initially will give you a result. So we set up another layer where the agent also validates it. Again, it first checks if this is the right answer. It questions itself. And then it checks another, it performs a bunch of validations and then gives the right answer to the final user. So that will be the main difference between a naive RAG and an agentic RAG.
There is no point mentioning both these equations.
Okay. Uh, if I give you a raw data, how would you extract, how would you extract, process, and feed it into AI models?
We can mention
First will be like data cleaning. That will be the
Okay.
first step. Like
Of
make
course,
sure
yeah.
that all the columns, there are no empty values, there are no duplicates. Make sure that's all good. And next will be the labeling, and make sure that you have all the features like what we need, so that the model understands it in a better way. And make sure also to something called, like, we have to make sure all the text data is converted into numerical data.
Mm-hmm.
And once this is all done, and that's when we make this will become like a basically a clean data for it. Then we have to do the feature analysis. We have to do something like principal component analysis, something like which features have more weights, rather than, because not all features are going to have the same impact on the model. Some is going to have much more impact on the decision that makes, and some more is going to less. So that will be the feature analysis with the next step. And once we do with that, then we train that model based on changing the weights and biases on those features. So make sure that we come with the right model, right accuracy.
Okay. Okay. uh, how would you design, or maybe if you can just explain, how would you design a Python services to call in LLM APIs?
I would say use Fast API or Flash, something like that. So it's easier to generate the API from our side. So even if it's like a small, I'll go with the previous example. Like, and if you just need a weather generation or just addition of two numbers, you just make a function of it, put into a Fast API. That makes it easy to become like a get or put response. That way you can just pass it to it, which we can allot it to LLM as a tool, and you can pick it up whenever it wants.
Okay. How is your React experience? What has been your React involvement? Any experience around UI side?
Yes, we have been using it for our front end mostly.
Okay. So
So
have
it's
you
like,
have you built any kind of POCs on React or UI side so far?
yes, we have, like I said, for this invoices and billing and all those stuff, we create a bunch of dashboards. So that's where my
Okay.
experience in React comes from
So can you
mostly.
just walk me through your POC stuff that you have done? Like how do you start? How do you
Okay.
end?
You mean like the entire life cycle of the dashboard
Yes.
thing, or?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so basically I started with, so this was a project for creating the, what do you call that? The disbursements. So every day, every day disbursements go from my company to bank, and we get something from bank to here.
Okay.
So if they make a payment or something, so basically we need to create a dashboard that ensures that the money comes in and going in is all or tally. So before we had it as a flat file where we had to validate it separately, like going into each file and then loading it and then manually checking those files by every day. So this dashboard basically automates this process. And my React project, so we used basically React and Node.js as backend for doing all the stuff in it. So the backend stuff, like collecting the data and parsing it and putting it in front of it as a React. So the structure will be basically we have we have front end separately for React, where we have everything like the CSS files and the JS files, which handles all the heavy
Great.
lifting
Great.
from the
Great.
dashboard side. And from Node.js, we just send the data. That's where it, like the pipe, it becomes like the integration part for React.
Okay. Okay. So now coming to your Python experience, we have already spoken, and I really like the Python work that you have done.
Mm, Thank you.
Uh, how have you been interacting, or maybe have you used decorators in the past? Did you work on decorators?
Yeah, occasionally sometimes when you have to use, uh, s- I can't think of an immediate example. So usually the functions you create, the helper functions you create are usually fine, but in one or two cases there might be exceptions where you need to add additional functions on those. At that
Okay.
time, say for example, the documents when we have subtypes. So
Mm-hmm.
certain subtypes have to be handled in a different way, like
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to legal stuff and stuff.
Okay.
I can give you a better example actually. Some states have a different kind of valuation, and some states have a different kind of valuation. In that case, the major billing part may be the same, like the core logic will be the same, but the value of the money added will be different in different states. At that time, I have to use different functions where just changing the constant value in those particular billing logic helped.
Okay. Awesome. How much you have been interacting with SQL databases? Like, do you write complex queries or maybe simple queries? How much you are interacting, or how much you are involved into database side?
That happens a lot actually. So I
A
mean,
lot. Okay.
we have to run
So
reports
given
pretty much every
given a
day.
situation, you have an employee table, okay, and you need
Mm,
to find out the. Of course, this employee table would have a lot of columns in it.
mm,
So
mm.
given there is a column with a salary of the employees, you need
Okay.
to find out the highest salary in that employee table. What syntax you are going to write?
You mean like, okay, I can just sort it by descending
Hmm.
and order by descending and just take the top one. That should give the highest.
Okay. Okay, very nice. And what if you need to find out the second largest one?
I will do this similar thing, like order it. I mean, that's going to be a better logic. Let me think of something better. Yeah, let's do this way. So I'm sorry, I'm just thinking out loud. That's why taking time. I mean, top two will be giving you both, so we don't want that in that case since we don't need the second one.
Hmm.
Usually, what I would prefer is get the amount.
You can
Let
explain the
me.
logic. We will work around the syntaxes. So you can just explain the logic, what logic you are going to implement.
I was looking at the same sorting order, like instead of calculating everything and like putting in a variable and just doing it. I feel like this is much more faster in a way.
Hmm.
Sorting it and taking the top two will give you the first
First to
one.
the highest one. But you need to
Mm.
eliminate the top one.
In that case, I will say uh, I can use like something like a switch case or something like that, where I can put in a condition to eliminate the top one, like
So
the
you're
first one.
writing this using Python. I'm talking about SQL. In SQL, if you I'm talking about SQL syntaxes,
Yeah, in SQL too, I'm saying like we can put a where condition, right? We can
where
filter it
condition.
through that way.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Uh, I think that's all. I
Mm,
wanted to talk. Let me try to set up your interview as quickly as possible. What is your interview availability,
Okay.
by the way?
I'm okay with any time in the afternoon or either early morning, like 8 to
And this
10
is going to
in
be
that
in-person
time.
interview directly, just one round and done. So I hope
Okay.
that
In
will be,
person, okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine. Like, actually, I'm available anytime this week.
Okay.
Which
I will,
which
I will,
you just give
I
me a
will try
heads
to
up, though. I
set up
just make
somewhere.
sure
Yeah,
I.
I will try to set up somewhere in in afternoon. So stay tuned.
Okay.
Should get back to you either tomorrow or by tomorrow.
Okay.
I mean, of course by tomorrow, but yeah, by maybe afternoon or evening.
Okay.
Okay.
You can just
Yeah.
give me heads up, like
I will
when I
definitely.
can just clear my
I will
calendar.
give you at least 2 days
basically.
of a notice so that you can plan
Yeah,
accordingly.
that's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I can work it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
No
Yeah.
problem.